Okay, everyone, let's start our class laying down today. So find your way to your yoga mat if you're not there already. You can bring any extra props along with you, maybe something for underneath your knees or a little pillow under your head. Finding some kind of starting position that suits you today. Could be lying down in Shavasana, corpse pose with your arms and legs outstretched to any degree that you'd like. You can always find that constructive rest pose by standing your feet up at the edges of your mat and then letting your knees come together. Your arms could be out to the sides, or maybe you interlace your fingers and rest your head in your hands. Or maybe bring your hands to the low rib cage or belly or any other ideal places for you. Go ahead and keep adjusting until it feels just right. I think there's something wonderful with just like spending the time to make yourself comfortable. So don't skimp out if there's anything else that you'd like to do as you settle in. Once you get there, maybe closing your eyes, especially if you've had a very external day with your attention going elsewhere outside of your own experience. Sometimes closing the eyes can be a pleasant retreat. But if you've spent a lot of time in your own head or in your own experience and not had a lot of outside interactions, possibly it could feel nice to keep your eyes open and maybe find something to look at or slowly scan your environment. If you're somewhere in between, you could try kind of half opening or half closing your eyes. So you're somewhere in between, or maybe taking extra long blinks. And we'll take a clearing breath as we settle into this moment. Let's breathe in through the nose and sighing out of your mouth. You can take a few more if you'd like. And settle back into a steady pace of breath, maybe slightly deeper and slower than normal. Just start to generally scan through your body, noticing any areas that might be experiencing sensation or calling your attention. Just scanning your awareness throughout your body in no particular order. And how's your energy today? Just taking a moment to check in with your energy. And finally, let's give a little moment here to our emotions. You can reflect on the emotions that have been part of your day so far, seeing which ones are present right now. I always like to remind people that it's very, very much possible to be experiencing multiple emotions at once, even if they seem kind of like opposites. So try not to edit yourself here, just see how things are with your emotions. And with all of that information now taken in, if you'd like to use that information to inform your intention or dedication today, feel free to bring something or someone to mind now. you haven't begun some diaphragmatic breath, let's just take a few rounds, letting the belly expand with your inhales and soften with your exhales. With a little extra squeeze at the bottom so you're getting all the air out so that you can take a nice, fresh, full breath again. Go ahead and do that a few times if you'd like. And together, even though we're in separate spaces, we can still acknowledge that we're sharing this bit of energy and time. So, together, let's take a clearing breath to kind of uplift each other and each other's intentions. So, breathing in through your nose and sigh to let it go. I think that's a really nice visualization. Let's start to wiggle fingers and toes, maybe rubbing the thumb across your fingers or knuckles. And continuing with the ankles and wrists, taking a couple of circles in both directions. Okay, let's take a long body stretch. And today, let's start to interlace the fingers overhead and then flip your palms so your palms are pressing away from the top of your head, and just see if that feels like a nice long body stretch for you. If not, you can always let go and just reach the fingers and toes in opposite directions. Let's go to banana pose next, walking your heels over toward the right edge of your mat, grabbing hold of your left wrist or arm and gently pulling the upper body to the right as well. So we're feeling a nice amount of lengthening and side bend through that left side. And imagining that you can really fill the left side with air and breath. Just noticing what kind of space you can create there between the ribs, the intercostals. And when the timing is right for you, walk your heels on over toward the left edge of your mat, grab hold of your right arm, and give it a little pull and direction over to that left side. So now we're finding length and side bend through that right side. Go ahead and send your breath there, filling the right side with air. Feeling into those intercostals on this side, those little muscles between the ribs. Whenever you've had enough of that, come on back to the center and lower your arms down by your sides. Let's start to turn onto the right side. We'll do some of those nice Feldenkrais twists here. So they're from the Feldenkrais method. Not technically yoga, but still a nice mindful movement practice. So go ahead and stack your left hand on top of your right hand, and then reach your left fingers farther away than your right fingers, so that you're feeling your shoulder blades really spread out behind your back. You can hold there in that reaching stretch, and then eventually let's open it up by pulling your left hand across your right arm, fingertips across your collarbones, and then your version of all the way open. So maybe your left arm stays lifted to some degree, maybe the back of your left arm finds the floor. Just having this nice twist, upward twist now. Lingering here as long as you'd like, and then eventually we'll close it back up by bending your left elbow, bringing your left fingertips to your left shoulder, slide across the collarbones and all the way back down your right arm until your hands stack again. Go ahead and keep experimenting with this, opening and closing a few times at your own pace. I invite you to consider moving like you're in sleep or you're kind of sleepy, just not worrying too much about your form or anything. You're just moseying on over to our twist, and then closing on up just as many times as you'd like. You might stop along the way somewhere or with the arms wide open. And then we'll meet with the hands closed together. So eventually, stacking that left hand on top of the right hand. Then we'll turn onto the stomach, finding crocodile pose. So just do your thing as you find your way to the belly. You could stack your fists or your hands or a block or something underneath your head for support. Let your heels kind of splay out to the sides. We'll take some diaphragmatic breaths here. Even though the floor is kind of blocking you, just see what it's like to send the air all the way down to the belly. Feel quite a bit more subtle, I think, than when the belly has all that room to move. Just a little resistance here as you finish up maybe one more round of diaphragmatic breath. Then we'll bend both knees so your feet are just hanging out in the air behind you. Go ahead and let your feet kind of sway side to side, getting a little bit of a twisting action going through the lower part of the body. Just swaying side to side with the feet. I think it's kind of fun to kind of straighten them and swoop them around to the other side every once in a while. So go ahead and experiment a little bit if you want, or just keep it within the lines, your call. Okay. Then when you've had enough, setting your feet back down, and let's turn on to the left side now. So coming back to the fetal position with that left arm this time, straight out to the left side. Right hand stacking on top. Reach those right fingers farther away than your left fingers so you feel that nice opening and stretch between your shoulder blades. This is called protraction. Then we're going into retraction. Retract that right hand, pull it across your left arm, across your collarbones, and then your version of all the way open on this side. Noticing when your arms are open, your shoulder blades are quite close together. This is the retracted state of the shoulder blades. And then at your own pace here, just go ahead and open and close a couple of times, bending your right elbow, bringing your right fingertips to the right shoulder, and then sliding across the collarbones all the way down that left arm until your right fingers are reaching beyond your left fingers again. Take your time. Don't worry too much about your form. Just getting this nice twisting, kind of ringing effect through the torso, through the shoulders. Just kind of let your head follow along and do its thing. And if at any time you want to linger with your arms open or closed, you don't have to keep moving the whole time. And taking about another breath or two. And then meeting up with the arms closed up. So whenever you naturally get there, it is fine. Let's come on up to a seat next, using the help of your hands and arms, pressing your way on up. Finding a comfortable seated position. You could always bring your hips a little higher up onto blocks or a blanket or what have you. And let's tend to the fingertips off to the side and find some length upward through the crown of your head with that half tuck of the chin. So instead of thinking about tucking, we're thinking about lengthening the back of the neck. I hope that makes sense. And then with an inhale, let's reach those arms around and up. Option to look up as your palms join. And exhale, lower your hands down to heart center with a full tuck of your chin here. So you're looking down at the hands. Inhale, hands go high, gaze follows. Exhale, letting those arms come down and around. Let's do that a couple more times. We're inhaling as we lift up. Exhaling as hands come together in front of the heart. Continuing at your own pace now, maybe one or two more rounds, just remembering that the inhales have us reaching up. The exhales have us lowering. Maybe even closing your eyes here so you're really connecting with your breath and your own experience. Just about one more time through, depending on where you're at. We're going to meet with hands at heart center. So whenever you naturally get there, just pausing there, spending a moment at center. And then we're going to take some active twists here. So I kind of like to keep my hands at heart center, but you can experiment with other hand positions if you'd like. Let's just start to turn toward the left as much as you can, just using your core strength. This is our active range of motion here. And then we're going to twist to the other side. Take your time as you move to the other side. And just kind of notice, does one side feel a little bit easier? You have more mobility on one side than the other. How does it feel to have an active twist now? Just keep going side to side a couple of times. Noticing anything that's happening for you. And since we started on the left, let's make sure we end by twisting to the right. And then coming back to center. All right, let's come to hands and knees next. You can always grab some extra cushioning for under your knees if you want to. It feels like a little treat, honestly, to have a nice cushion under the knees. We're finding tabletop, fingertips spreading out, hands below your shoulders, knees below your hips. With your inhale, lower your belly, lift the tailbone, lift the gaze, finding cow pose. And exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, press the floor away. This is cat pose. Inhale, transition to cow, gaze lifting. Exhale to cat. A couple more times at your own pace. And when you're ready, just come back to a neutral tabletop position. We're going to straighten that right leg out behind you. You can keep your right toes on the floor here. And then slide those right toes back behind your left foot. So you're kind of reaching the right toes across toward the left edge or side of your mat. Then go ahead and look over that left shoulder. So we're kind of looking to stretch through that right hip, that right side. So looking, twisting, kind of, not twisting, but kind of side bending toward the left. Okay, and then coming back to center, bringing your knee back down, tabletop. Let's do the same thing on the other side, straightening your left leg, keeping those left toes on the floor. Slide your left toes to the right, all the way across, maybe off of your mat if that feels okay to you. And then turning to look toward the right. Finding some length and space through that left side now, that left hip especially. And then when you're done with that, come on back to center, tabletop. And then we'll move on to extended child's pose. So bringing your knees out wide toward the edges of your mat, big toes touching behind you. You could lower your seat toward your heels a bit here, or find your favorite version of child's pose. You could always come down to your forearms, even for a couple of moments first. And then maybe walk your hands out and lowering head and chest toward the floor. Take some more of those diaphragmatic belly breaths here, making sure that your knees are wide enough that you really are giving the belly all the room that it wants and needs. Two more breaths. As you're ready, rise back up to your tabletop. Let's find our first downward facing dog here. You know me, I love using blocks. I'm moving my props to the side here, or my blanket anyway. Props, meaning the blocks, are out. Curling your toes under, start to lift your knees and reach your tailbone high, maybe straightening your legs. Push your hands into your blocks or the floor so you're reaching through your shoulders. Find your breath first. And then, if you like, maybe bending and straightening opposite knees to pedal your legs out. And then at some point, let's take 3 rounds of coming up to our tippy toes. So with your inhale, lift those heels, rise up to the tippy toes. And exhale as you lower your heels toward the floor. We're doing that 2 more times. We're inhaling, lifting the heels. Exhaling to lower. Last time, inhale to rise. And exhale to lower. Bend your knees and look up toward your hands, and then walk or step your way to the top of your mat for ragdoll. Forward fold. Feet could be about hip width distance apart or nice and wide, your choice. Letting your upper body hang kind of loose here. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows if you like. Maybe swaying a little bit. If that ever feels like too much, you can always come up to a halfway lift position to get some of that pressure out of the head or the low belly if it's feeling tight. Your call. We'll have about 2 more breaths here. All right, let's bend the knees nice and deep. Tuck your chin toward your chest and then walk your hands up your legs as you slow motion rise up to stand. And right away at the top, we'll find some shaking or some bouncing, maybe through the arms first, maybe through the feet, lifting and lowering your heels, getting a nice little bounce going. It could become a dance or just kind of random shaking. Any parts of your body that are feeling it. Try not to look cool. Just try to let it loose a little bit, getting our circulation going, getting any kind of stagnant energy moving through the body. Okay, when you've had enough of that, just coming on up to the top of your mat. We'll find a little flow here. Today's flow is going to incorporate kind of a couple of challenging poses, our arrow pose and airplane pose. So we'll keep it a little bit more simple before those come in. So let's get right to it. Take a look at your feet, pick up all of your toes, spread them out, and then set them back down. So you have a nice solid base here in our mountain pose. So spinning the palms to face the front of your space, hugging the core in a little bit here, just feeling strong and secure here in your mountain pose. With an inhale, start to reach your arms up and overhead. And exhale, swan dive, forward fold, our arms going wide, hinge at your hips, and then lower your hands toward the floor or blocks. Inhale, slide your hands up, your legs coming to halfway lift. And exhale, hands come right back down. Let's step the right foot back first, and then the left foot to our high plank. One big breath in here, press the floor away. And exhale, lower your knees, move those blocks to the side, and lower your chest. Press the tops of your feet down into the floor so much that your knees kind of start popping up a little bit here. Inhale, rise up to baby cobra, head and chest lifting, feet pressing down. And exhale, lower. Let's do that 2 more times. Follow your breath with your inhale, rising up, baby cobra. And exhale, lowering down. One more time. Inhale, rise up, baby cobra. Let's stay here for the exhale. With your inhale, press your way up to tabletop. And exhale to child's pose. Take a few breaths here, sending the breath all the way down to the sacrum, that very lowest part of the spine that connects to the pelvis. Just about one more breath here. You can always stay a little longer if you'd like. With an inhale, let's rise back up to tabletop. Grab those blocks if you like to use them. And then exhale to downward dog. We'll be here for 3 breaths. Your choice if you inhale and lift up to the tippy toes, and then exhale to lower your heels, or just stay put. Either way is fine. Breathing in. Breathing out. One more breath in. One more breath out. Bend both knees, look toward your hands, but then just step your right foot forward, as far forward as you can. You might kind of wiggle it forward or give it a little bit of help if you like. This is where our arrow pose is going to come in. So we're going to sweep the arms down and back, lifting the chest just a little bit. Feel yourself here. It's a strengthening and balancing pose. One more breath in and breath out. Next, we're rising up to airplane pose. So you might just take a big step forward and kind of lift that left foot up, or you can kind of step your left foot up a couple times first and then find your airplane pose. So the arms stay pretty much the same. Your left toes are reaching back now. You can stay connected to the floor or start to lean forward as your left toes lift behind you. Breathe. Eventually, with an inhale, see if you can rise up, keeping your left knee lifted into one-legged mountain pose. And then exhale, step down. Really, I was feeling that through the right glute and leg today. So feel free to shake that out a bit. With an inhale, let's reach both hands up and overhead. And exhale, bring your hands to heart center, taking a couple of breaths and a couple of moments just to come back to center. Scanning your body, remembering your intention. Being right here with your present experience. And let's take a clearing breath together. Inhale through your nose. Sigh or blow out. Inhale, reach those hands high. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands sliding up, back straightening. Exhale, hands come down to your blocks. This time, let's step the left foot back first, and then the right foot back to your high plank. Let's have 2 breaths here if you'd like. We're inhaling, pressing the floor away, and exhaling. 1 more breath, inhale. Shoulders are protracted here, meaning far from each other. And then exhale, lower your knees, move those blocks to the side, and then lower your chest. We'll do 3 more rounds of our baby cobra. Your choice if you lift and lower with each breath or just stay lifted for 3 breaths, okay? So press those feet down a lot with your inhale. Let's go, rising up to baby cobra. Feel free to stay here for 3 breaths or exhale and lower. We're inhaling and exhaling. 1 more breath in. Stay lifted here for your exhale. Inhale, press up to tabletop, hands and knees. And exhale as you find your way back to child's pose. You can take different variations here if you like, maybe tenting your fingertips up and reaching through your shoulders a little bit. Maybe reaching your hands back and around so your hands end up closer to your ankles, maybe your forehead or your hairline kind of touching the floor. You do you. One more breath in and breath out. You're welcome to stay here if you'd like. If you're flowing with us, let's inhale and rise up to tabletop. Grab your blocks if you like them. And then exhale to downward dog. 3 breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. 1 more breath in. And breath out. Inhale, bend your knees a lot. Look up to your hands. With your exhale, step just the left foot forward. Give it some help if it doesn't quite make it too far forward. Okay, pump yourself up here. We're getting into our arrow pose. So when you're ready, sweeping your arms down and back with those airplane arms, shoulder blades hugging together now. That's our retracted state of the shoulders. Feel your strength. When you're ready, come on up to your airplane pose, however you want to get there. It's really nice if you have something to hold on to. I'm close enough to the wall where I can kind of press into it when I need it. And then when you're ready with an inhale, see if you can rise all the way up and bring your right knee up with you to one-legged mountain pose. And eventually with an exhale, lower that foot down. Give your left leg a little shake when you're ready. With an inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, joining palms. And exhale, bring your hands down to heart center. Taking a few moments and a few breaths just to come right back. Come to your center, find your balance. Steady your body, steady your mind, steady your breath. And then we'll take a clearing breath in through your nose, sighing or blowing out of your mouth. Blink your eyes open if they were closed. Let your hands come down by your sides. Give it another little shake here before you head to the floor. And then we're heading down to a seat here first. We'll do our one more little balancing pose, cosmic egg. So we're sitting down, our feet are on the floor with our knees bent. You can grab hold of your knees or shins or behind your thighs, just wherever you can comfortably reach. Sitting up nice and tall, lengthening upward through the crown of your head, letting your shoulder blades kind of come down and back, almost like you're kind of tucking them into the back pockets. Lean back. Try to keep this neutral spine here. Lean back a little bit and then start to lift one foot and then maybe the other, finding a point of balance. You can stay right here and just keep holding, or if it's feeling a little too easy, you want a little more challenge, you could purposely destabilize yourself by kind of wobbling side to side, or maybe turning this into boat pose by releasing your hands and or straightening your legs. Your choice. Spend as much time here balancing and strengthening as you'd like, and eventually start to slowly make your way down to your back. You can make it kind of hard by going slower, maybe coming back up a time or two, only if you're into that. Eventually, letting yourself come all the way down. Just spend a moment kind of finding the floor. Feels nice to just lay for a second. If this feels like a good stopping point, you're welcome to just stay here and get right into your final rest. Otherwise, we'll do just a couple more little things here. We can bend the knees and then hug your knees in toward your chest by grabbing hold of the shins or knees, and then take some free movement, rocking a little bit of weight, some massaging pressure there at the low back, the sacrum area. Sacrum's right below the low back. Just kind of moving the knees side to side or in circles, taking your time as you find some good pressure points. And then moving to happy baby, we can reach down for the inside or outside edges of the feet or the big toes. If your feet are too far away, you can just hold on to the back of your knees or thighs. And just pulling your knees kind of in toward your armpits. Some people like to just stay still here. Some people like to kind of rock a little bit side to side. You can play with it a little bit if you want to straighten one leg, bend the other. Just having some fun, channeling your inner happy baby. And then if there are any last poses, movements, or stretches that your body is asking you for, go ahead and move in those ways. And eventually start to find your final resting pose. Could be very similar to how you started today in Shavasana or constructive rest. Take your time as you get comfortable. And once you get there, again, taking your time to be as comfortable as you can. Just that act itself, I think, is just so good. I think I said that earlier, but making yourself comfortable, feels so luxurious sometimes. But it shouldn't, it should be the norm. So make sure that's your norm for today. Prioritizing your comfort so that you can rest. Remembering that we need lots of rest, especially if you're having any stressful things going on in your life or all of the many things happening in the world. We really need to take this time just to let go of any of those outside thoughts if you can, even just for a moment or two. So you can create just a little more space between your thoughts. Because inevitably they'll come back in. And that's okay. Maybe closing your eyes or Have them half open or all the way open if you like. And we're just gonna find our Samavritti equal breathing. More or less, you might count and make it a little more specific, but just more or less breathing in for a certain amount of time and then exhaling for that same amount of time. So you can go based off of feel, or you can count. Like inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. You find your rhythm now. Softening the muscles of your face, smoothing out your forehead. Relaxing your mouth. No need to hold yourself up in any way. Just let the floor do the work here. Letting go bit by bit, finding your balance with this equal breathing. And maybe trying to get to a place here where it feels like less like you're controlling your breath and more like you're watching it as your inhales roll in, your exhales roll out. Checking back in with any of those areas of your body that you might have tension or tendencies to grip up. Just softening and continuing to let go and let go and let go. Checking in with your jaw and your hands and your feet. Make sure they're relaxed, unclenched. Notice and then soften at the root of your tongue, the base of your tongue. Soften your thoughts. An even softer and kinder flow of breath. Each breath helping you to regain some strength, some peace. You deserve your rest anytime you'd like it. I am minding the time here. We'll have about 3 more minutes. Just enjoy and relax and keep softening as you watch your breath roll in and out. If your mind wanders off, that's okay. Consider it a win when you catch yourself in that way. Just come on back to the present moment, the present breath. Your thoughts can come later. Just giving your attention and focus to this very moment. Just about 3 more very slow breaths. Savoring each one of them. No rush. Eventually, when you've had those 3 breaths and you're feeling ready to begin reawakening, go ahead and wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe let your head kind of rock from one side to the other. Maybe opening and closing your jaw, swallowing, yawning, maybe taking some long, slow blinks. You could find one more long body stretch before choosing a side, rolling over onto that side into the fetal position with your knees slightly tucked in. Maybe your bottom arm is your pillow now. Take one more really slow breath here, just honoring the transitionary pose here of the fetal pose. And at the end of your exhale, take your time as you press your way on up to a comfortable seat using the strength of your hands and arms. If it feels right, keeping your eyes closed here as you join your hands in front of heart center. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace in our actions, peace in our words, peace in our thoughts. Bringing thumbs up to third eye center. If it feels right to you, let's take a little bow forward in gratitude now. Peace.